Hi friends, welcome back. Today's video is a watercolor and gouache little bird painting. So grab your paints, paper, water, and supplies and let's get started. So I'm starting with a circular shape with a really light watered down color. It's a bit of an orange color. And then to make the bird's head and then going into the body, I'm going to pull down a little bit of an oval shape. And it's okay if it's a little bit blobby, just start light to dark and you can always manipulate your shape as you go. As long as your paint and paper is still damp and wet, you can always reshape your bird's body. And then towards the bottom right, I'm pulling out a little piece that will be the tail and some of the feathers. Okay, and then going in and dropping a stronger orange on the front part of the bird and belly. Okay, so I am looking at a reference that I looked up online. These are the American Robin images. You can do any small parakeet style of bird, whatever colors you like. And feel free to screenshot this and keep it as a reference if that helps as well. And if you get too much color, you can do that pickup technique, which is rinsing your brush. And with a clean, damp brush, you can soak up any extra water or paint if you want to make it a little bit lighter. Okay, so with black paint, I'm going in and adding a little beak, and I'll put in the eyeball too. You'll want to make sure that this is actually dry before you do that, because then your paint will bleed like mine is into the head. So I'll come back and put a stronger layer after it's fully dry. So while that middle part dries, I can add in some of the legs. The bird legs are at an angle, so if you look back at the reference image, you'll see that they come out from the bottom at a slight angle, and then you can put the little claws on a branch or a twig. I'm just putting in a little loose one here. Okay, so now that the first layer is dried, we can go in and add stronger colors. I'll put in a little bit of that wing. I'm using a darker purplish brown. It's still a bit diluted, and I'll put in some of those feathers, and it's really rough and loose, so just keeping a little bit of a highlight on some of that wing, and then pulling down little lines for the tail and the end of that wing. So then rinsing my brush, I'm just softening out some of these edges along the head, and then going in with a little stronger color just to define some of these lines and shapes on the wing. Okay, so now that that's dried, I'm going in with a smaller brush and doing a sharper beak with a stronger color there. And then I'll rinse my brush and soften out some of those edges. And then also putting in the eye with a circle. And then I can go in once this is dry and add a little highlight with gouache. And also adding in darker shadows on that branch, so the underneath side will have a stronger color, and I'll leave the top a little bit lighter. Also, you can add in some shadows on the legs there as well for the bird. Okay, and then I can go in with the wing being dry now, adding a little bit more details. I want to add a little more definition and shadow where the wing lays on top of the body and then where there's shadow on the tail. It's a little bit of an illustrative style, so I'm keeping some of those lines, a little bit like a cross-hatching effect. This is totally up to you, artistic license, if you want to do that. So I'm putting in these sketchy lines along the bottom of the belly, along some of the edges of that wing, and then also along the back of the head where the bird would have a natural shadow as well. Okay, and then with a little bit of a darker orange, I'm going in and doing the same technique towards the front side of that bird, so under his sort of chin area and then the front of his belly. And I will rinse some of this off because I don't want it to go too far and have too many strong lines. So you can always rinse your brush and soften any edges and marks that you think are too much. Okay, so once that is dry, I'm going in now with some more details. This is white gouache, and I'm using that detail brush to add a little highlight on the eye and a little highlight on the top of that beak. And then using the end of my brush, I'm blending the very bottom edge of that white line so it becomes a little bit more gray and then bleeds into the black of the beak so it looks a little bit like a highlight and it fades down instead of being a harsh line. So while that all dries, I can go in and add a few leaves on this branch just to give it a little bit more of a look of nature. I always like doing leaves and flowers, which I want to do more of, so that'll be on my channel soon. But let's just add a couple leaves here for now. All right, so go ahead and darken any other shadows in any areas that you like. Add in a little bit more of a stronger color. Watercolors tend to dry a little lighter, especially on this kind of paper, so I'm going in and adding some more contrast wherever I think it needs it. And then going in and adding a little bit more of a yellow orange to that head. This is gouache, so because it's more of an opaque kind of medium, I can layer it on top. It works a little bit like acrylic, so you don't have to do light to dark like you would do with watercolor. With gouache, you can just paint over it and you can just add in color wherever you might need it. And I feel like I lost a little bit of that color, so I'm just bringing it back. And there we go, a little bird study with watercolor and gouache. I hope you had fun painting along. I hope you give it a try. Let me know how it goes. I think I had a lot of fun painting this little guy, so I might do some more birds on my channel. Thanks so much. See you in the next one.